everyone. Welcome back to episode 2 of 2 CCs of Fiber Arts. I'm Andrew, and this is Kelly, and we're here to talk to you all about fiber arts and all the things that we love and sometimes the things that we hate about fiber arts, but fiber arts in general. So today we're going to talk about pattern design. So pretty excited to talk to Kelly because Kelly is a true designer and has lots of patterns and lots of experience. So tell us some about your designs. How did you get started in design?
Oh my God, love this question. So back in like 2021, I was going to a local yarn shop and it was just like really fun. Like I went there for knit night and stuff like that. And eventually I was asked by the owner if I would be interested in making a sample for the shop because she really liked, my crochet and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, yeah, that would be really great. And I kind of got, I was really getting back into like doing crochet really, really a lot because of this. And I was like, you know what? Would it be okay if I tried my hand at designing like a scarf? And she was like, yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. So I decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to make a scarf out of this yarn. And I got really, really excited. And it was actually, the Roots of Yggdrasil scarf, which is still available, by the way. Little shameless pattern plug there.
You
exactly.
Yeah,
so if you're interested in getting my very first pattern, it's out there still. And
nice.
I loved it so much. Thank you. And I immediately made another one to go with it, and it's the Boughs of Yggdrasil scarf. And then after that, I started designing like a couple more scarves, and then I eventually designed my first sweater after making a couple of sweaters and being like, oh my gosh, I really love this. And since then, it's just been this now become lifelong adventure that I've decided to embark on. So I've been doing it for like 4 years. Yeah. So,
Wow.
that's my story as far as design. But I know that you also like started designing actually way more recently. So tell me about that.
Well, I
already know about it. Tell our audience about it.
Well, before moving on, I wanted to say, like, you have a lot of patterns for having only been in the game for 4 years. Like, I would have assumed a lot longer. Especially the sweaters, like, those are big projects. So, props to you for having so many patterns out.
Thank you. Yeah, it helps that one, I love crocheting just like all the time. Like a lot of my free time now is spent just doing crochet. So that's how I'm able to kind of get things out. I love that you say that because I don't feel like I have very many. I feel like I need way more. Yes, I really do.
Girl,
like I only see some of these other designers that have but you also have 3, like you have small projects. I don't know. For me, I was like, I feel because I was doing sweaters and they are a lot more involved. They do take a while, but I've been recently, and we're going to talk more in detail about this later too in the episode, but like, more recently been doing some like shorter or smaller projects that work up a little bit more quickly. So that has helped me feel like, okay, I'm getting a few more patterns out than I used to. At first I was like, I'm not producing patterns nearly as fast as I would like to. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes definitely a lot of work to go into a pattern, and I've only, like you said, I kind of got into design myself this year. Well, I have some designs that are older, but they're like, I feel like my real first foray into pattern design was this year when I made the worsted weight hat that you're wearing.
Yes. Oh yeah. So those of you who are able to watch, like you can see, like we're wearing things.
Yes. So Kelly is wearing my first crochet hat pattern, and I'm wearing my second one. So his is a worsted weight, and mine is a fingering weight. And then the tank tops we're wearing were both designed by Kelly.
Yeah. So the 2 hats are Andrew, they're Caliri Creations designs, and then the tanks are Cocky Crochet designs. So so he is wearing, so since you explained yours, I can go ahead and explain mine. Like he's wearing my first mesh tank top design, which I did earlier this year during the summer. Cause I was like, I wanted to design some like actual summer wear, and some stuff for like, Pride and like, the gays, they love their like slutty little mesh wear. So I was okay, definitely. I will give you what you want. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
totally.
I originally started with just the one, and I was like, you know what? Let's make a full collection with this. So I then designed the Wave Strider to go along with it. And then there's also a third one, the
Yes.
Cloud Leaper, that's also out. So yeah. So anyway, so just shameless product plugs all over the place. If you want any of these patterns, you know, find them on our websites, our Etsy's, our Ravelries, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, I have to say, for me being new in pattern design, it was like really nice getting to chat with you because I was able to kind of like show you my rough draft and be like, does it make sense? Like, would you be able to follow this? Like, it makes sense to me, but you know, I have a full understanding of how the hat is made. And so, of course, it makes sense. Like, I need to
Mhm.
give it to somebody who's never made one, like you at the time, and just see if it worked
Yes.
for you. And so, like, getting the feedback was like super helpful.
Oh, that was actually like a lot of fun for me because I know that having been designing for 4 years at this point, um, a lot of it felt like I was kind of by myself. I definitely had a couple of people who I was able to reach to and got some feedback from. Shout out to Brianna of Brianna K Designs. She was like my mentor throughout the
Oh,
beginnings of
nice.
my design journey. But she's also just like she's does this full time. So like she doesn't have the time to be able to like sit down and like really banter back and forth on ideas. She's got her own stuff to do. She's got her success
Mm.
to deal with. So I was
Uh-huh.
like, you know, if I ran into any kind of issues, I was always like, okay, well, I'm not quite sure who I can necessarily turn to for that. So the fact that like you and I have been able to even bounce ideas. I know you said you got a lot from me just like looking over your pattern because you know you were brand new to it and you just wanted to make sure it looked
Mhm.
good, which by the way everyone, it looked really good even in a rough
Yeah,
draft
wow,
form. I was
thanks.
really impressed by it. Yeah, of course, yes, absolutely. But then I was like, you got to be a good source for me to then bounce ideas off of as well, because I was like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
designing things I've not designed before. And I want to know your feedback on like, okay, is this even going to be, is this going to look good? Would you wear this? And when you said, oh, that tank top, I would definitely wear that. I would love to. And you were like, you even wanted to test it. I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, you know, it wasn't just one way. Like it became really nice
Yeah.
having you be able to help me improve my own designing. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The back and forth part was like super nice, and we're both like creative types. So it's we both have like so many ideas, and sometimes I just need a sounding board for, like, what do you think about this? Or do you think this would be possible? Or like, you were just talking about your lace tank tops, but you also have lace shorts now to match them. At least two so far, I think.
Yeah.
So
I have one
that was
published
something too
pair
where
and
you're
another
like,
one that's in development.
oh, one is published and one's in development. Okay.
Right.
But yeah, you were gonna make one for each of your tank tops. And I remember back before you made them, you were like, "Do you think it would be possible?" And I was like, "Yeah, you should definitely try. Like, go for it." And you never know what you could come up with. And then you were able to come up with them. So I was like super proud of
Yeah.
that.
Yay. Thank you very much. It
Yeah.
basically it sounds like, I mean, a lot of we're talking pattern design, and I know we're just sitting here and just doing a lot of praising of each other. But I think in
Well,
general, that
yeah.
is something. Yeah, but I think also like what's great about that and what this illustrates is that when you're doing pattern designing, like I know from my experience, you do draw a lot of inspiration from other designers as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And you get it, like you're obviously coming up with your own ideas, but also you find love and respect in how other designers do theirs. So for example, I know that for you, you included in your pattern a lot of photo tutorials. Like a lot of it is like
Yes.
visual aids to really help people get an understanding of how to work through your hat pattern. Um,
Yeah.
I do not include a lot of visuals. Like mine is mostly just
Yeah.
instructions, maybe some charts. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but I always pair it with a video on my YouTube. So to me,
Right.
that's where the visual comes in, is I like to do that aspect of it. So the fact that like we're both providing some kind of visual help, but in two completely different ways, I'm like, they're both valid. And like, I love
Yeah.
seeing those two different ways of doing like designing the formatting itself. Like that's always
Yeah,
fascinated
yeah.
me is seeing like how other designers format their stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, going off of the formatting thing, I think in general, most patterns are kind of set up the same way. And so, like, you always at the beginning have like the abbreviations, like, you have to have that so people can know what everything is. But then it's
Yeah.
like usually there's a description, and then there's like the setup, and then it's like, I don't know, I guess it's kind of unspoken that everyone designs their patterns kind of in the same order. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that definitely, I think, comes from just people's experience with reading patterns because we've all
Yeah, right.
read so many patterns when we try to go and write one. That when I first wrote a pattern, I was going off entirely of, okay, well, how have I seen other patterns written? And what were the ones I liked and the ones that seemed to do really well? And I just bam, 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 went in that same order. And I've changed a couple of things since like my first patterns. I hope so, because if you see any of my first drafts, they're a little on the
Yeah.
rough side. You can tell that those were my
Yeah.
first patterns. They were my
Right.
for my earlier work, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, but I think like that is like when you've read a bunch of patterns, that definitely helps with you with the structure. And then the rest is just
Yeah.
like personal choice. What kind of style are you wanting? Do you want it to be really clean and empty and just like as minimalist as possible? Or do you want all the pages completely filled with like notes and pictures and diagrams and like even little like decorative embellishments? Like, what kind of style are you wanting to go into?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's definitely comes down to like personal choice, and it comes down to branding. So I know for
Yes.
you, well, at least for me, my brand is like I am a very detail oriented person. I've got a lot of info. I do very complex things, so I need a lot of notes. I'm like fill up that page,
Mhm.
fill it all up with lots of
Yeah.
explanations to make it as clear as possible. But I know for
Right.
you didn't need that. It seemed like you needed much more space for like your pictures and your diagrams, and you let those kind
Yeah.
of speak to the abbreviations. So I mean, you want to expand
Yeah.
on that? Like, I mean,
Yeah, sure. I definitely I love having the pictures in there. In my mind, I want the pattern to be totally standalone. And so I want people to just be able to buy the PDF and then like make it straight off from there without any help. Of course, if you need help, and like if you're working on one of my patterns right now and you need help, definitely contact me. I'm so happy to help because I really just love these hats so much, and that's why I'm like I want the pattern out there. I want people to be able to follow through, and I don't like when people aren't able to get it. I want to take the time and help you understand, because that's the whole magic of patterns, is that you can make the same thing that I make, and you can make adjustments to like hook size or yarn size or whatever, but you can eventually make it the same way. um, so I don't know, it's kind of like a universal, not language, but you know what I mean, like the pattern should be universal.
no, I get that, and I love that that's the approach that you take with it, and I love designers
Mm,
that do that as well, where they're like they really do want it to be standalone. Um, I know that.
right.
I mean, as my best attempts to make mine as standalone as possible. But I just know the types of techniques that I'm including in a lot of my patterns. I'm like, you're gonna need some visual help with this. And for me, the video is just the easier way to do it. So to me, it's like, if you want it, like if you can understand it without the video, that's excellent. And I'm also available, by the
Mm.
way, for any kind of pattern support.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
yes, yes. But like if you need it, the video is also there as a help. And I know that like I've also gotten video help before that was really very good for like certain patterns, especially really complicated ones. So, that's those types of decisions that people put into making a good pattern in general. I'm just always like so impressed by the amount of work that goes into it. And I think that that's something that people, even when I first started, I knew it was going to be a lot of work, but I didn't really know how much work it was going to be. Like
Mm.
when I started even making a tutorial video, I ran into so many issues. And I was just like, I didn't know there was so much involved in just making this simple tutorial video.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I'm all set up. I know exactly how I need to make a tutorial video, but it took
Mm.
a lot of learning to do that. And it made me respect
Yeah.
even more so the people who take the time to make really good pattern support videos, or heck, even a photo tutorial to go into your pattern. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into a photo tutorial. Like,
Yeah, there
yeah.
is lots of pictures.
Or
I
what do you
mean,
think about that?
definitely less than a video. Because I have videos too, and like I know the work that goes into video editing. But a lot of my videos are kind of like single take. Like for the Whip Wednesday series that I have on YouTube, it's mostly just me one solid take talking, and I don't have to do that much editing for it, which is nice. But I did just recently make that blocking tutorial, the wet blocking one, and that one was like a bunch of clips stitched together, and it took a long time to edit. Which I imagine is like the tutorial videos are kind of the same, where it's like multiple clips going together. So yeah, I can imagine how long that
Yeah, it
takes.
definitely is.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. And
yeah,
the thing about it also is I'm like, when I'm going through and doing the video part, like that, and I think that that's the thing is like when you think of design, it's more than just writing the pattern and making the sample. It's all the other things you have to decide. Like when I'm making a tutorial video, I have to think, what are some issues that I know people are going to run into? Like I have to predict what kinds of problems people are going to have. And then I have to figure out how to show that clearly. So my choice of
yeah.
yarn, my time of day that I can record, the amount of storage on my phone, because I don't have any fancy
Oh,
equipment or a bunch of storage. I'm just like, I run
yes,
out of storage, so I have to figure out how to get the videos off. I have to have an external storage. It's like all of this equipment, like or software stuff I have to do, and then my
yes,
microphone has to be charged. And it's just all this stuff. Like the number of
yeah.
times I'll be like doing clips. Oh, it's so much work. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
a lot
goodness.
goes into it, and like even if thinking about like the pattern as a PDF, like you have to think of like what cover photo is going to look good for this. Like I need it to like showcase the actual pattern really well. Like you have to actually do like photo shoots and stuff. So yeah, you're right. It's not just like
Oh,
making the pattern. It's actually like there's so much else that goes into pattern design that you know you don't even scratch the surface of just by making a prototype.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, and it's so yeah. I mean, I can't really say much more than what you already said about that because it's
Yeah.
true. There's just so much. But I will say, like, it is definitely a very rewarding experience. Like, I
Yes.
freaking love doing it. Like, it is so
Yeah,
much fun. Like, it is a labor of love. But yeah,
it
so I
is.
mean, so okay, so I'm wondering, okay, so kind of like a thing that I always like to kind of find out from designers is what is your favorite part of designing a pattern? And then what is your most hated part of designing a pattern?
Yeah, I
If you
was
had to
thinking
pick.
to ask you the same thing. But okay, my favorite part. um, I don't know. I guess my favorite part overall about pattern design is seeing my pattern be successfully reproduced by someone else. And like having someone else tell me like I love it so much, like I haven't seen a pattern like this. Like I've been getting a bunch of messages about the hat patterns because there aren't really many patterns like this out there, and so it's like really cool to hear from people that it really meant something to them, and they've made not just one but like
Yeah.
two or three or more. One guy sent me a picture of like 9 hats that he made, and I was like, that's amazing. That's so amazing. My heart is so warmed by that. So I feel like that's got to be
To
my
be
favorite part.
fair, yeah, the brims that you have to buy for this hat pattern come in packs of
Mhm.
10. So it's
They
almost
do.
like you kind of have to make I mean, I know I've made
Yeah, it
3.
is.
So
Yeah,
or
but see, you
4.
could
I've made
make 7
4
more.
actually. Yeah.
Oh, 4, really? Oh, yeah,
No.
because you sent one to Caleb. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I made one as a gift. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's your favorite part.
um,
That's beautiful. Like I
yeah.
love that. Yeah.
What's your favorite part?
Weirdly enough, I think it's the math. Um,
Oh my god,
I
I
mean, I
knew it.
love,
I
I
should have
know.
known.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Nerd.
So I know I'm a freaking nerd. It's proudly gifted and talented, and I'm not ashamed of it. Well, I also taught math, like in like middle school math, for
Yeah,
like
that's right.
13 years, so I'm pretty
Hmm.
comfortable with it. And I know that that's actually a big thing that drives some people away from design. I mean, even you're like, I designed a hat because I didn't want to mess with a lot of the math of like grading, but like
Hmm.
grading a sweater
Right.
is actually like a huge fun thing for me. Like I
Wow.
love the math and like the numbers and when things work out, and like sometimes even not thinking through things, I just experiment, and then the math, like the numbers pop out and they're
Mm.
beautiful and perfect, and I'm just like, I wasn't even planning that, it just worked out that way.
Wow.
And even when they don't, it's like it's a fun puzzle for me to figure out, because I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, the reason I call myself the cocky crocheter is because I'm very full of myself and I believe I can do anything if I set my mind to it. Um, and I think I'm going to be immediately good at it without having to try.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, so
I
silly.
think that too. And then when
But
I'm not immediately
yeah,
good at something, I'm like, "Ugh, I hate it."
yes, yes, I get that. But I know that
Yeah.
I am good at math, and I've had experience with grading to the point where I'm like, I'm familiar enough with it that I'm like, even when I run into an issue, I know I have the ability and the confidence to figure it out. Like you said, I
Yeah.
had no idea how to even start making a pair of shorts. And then I studied and figured it out and was like, this is way easier than I thought once I kind of figured out all the math behind it. So yeah, that's my favorite part, is
Yeah.
like the math, the grading, the sheets, the
Wow.
calculating, like all of that stuff, and seeing it transform from just numbers and pictures into a physical item that works
Yeah, that
out.
is
Like I'm
really
like,
cool.
oh my God, like this actually works. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Well, that's definitely an interesting favorite part because I haven't done any grading before, but so I can't say that grading is my least favorite part because I've never done that, but I'm avoiding
Mhm.
it altogether. So you could argue it's my least favorite because I'm just putting it all off and not doing it. Um, I would say for me, my least favorite part is probably like the trial and error because I hate like when I'm trying to make a prototype and then I get all the way to the end, especially like with the hats, the brims have to be like a specific size to fit over the insert. And they can't be too loose because
Mhm.
then the insert will like flop up and down. But if it's too tight, you won't be able to close it. So it's kind of like you have to be precise in the design and you have to account for like lots of people have different tension. So even if it works for me, it might not work for you because you have tighter tension. So like
Yep.
having to figure all of that out and maybe there's a way to do it, but I just did it by trial and error. So I would make both the top and bottom brim and then just see if it worked. And then if it didn't, I'd have to rip all of it out. And it's like, that's hours of work I put into it basically for nothing. I mean, you still learn from the process, but it's like it feels like nothing. It feels like a waste.
Oh, I completely 100% get that. And
Yeah.
even I would say, like, the way you had to do the brim, the way you just described that, I'm like, no, literally the only way you could have done that was through trial and error. Um,
Right.
because you could have mathed, like for me, like I could have mathed my way through that as best I could, but physically executing it. And I mean, yarn we know does not behave. Like it does its own thing.
Yeah.
So like you're right, like the tension you have to have, like the type of fiber you use, the weight of fiber, and you're like, you have this vision in your head of like how it should behave, but then you put it on. I'm like, so I get that. I mean, even with like the tank tops,
Yeah.
I was like, shoulder strap placement. And you remember, like during the testing, like the gauge was so different because I was like, well, the yarn label is
Yes.
basically telling me it's this weight. But then when we
But
were trying to find it, it was like, no, it's not that same weight. Universally speaking,
yeah.
this, like, we are like, what is going on here? So right out the gate, we had issues before we finally figured
Yeah.
out all of that. So I totally get that. The trial and error is a necessary evil for
Well,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It really is. And you hit a really good point there with like yarn, which I mean, we won't have time to really get into on this episode. But looking at what the
Right.
company labels the yarn size as, like, for example, when I started making my fingering weight hats, I just grabbed a yarn off of my yarn wall that I have, and it said fingering weight. So I was like, great, let's start making it. Well, it turns out it's more likely, it's closer to a sport weight. And I figured that out by looking at the overall yardage. So it only had like
Mhm.
350 yards versus like fingering weight should be over 400. But it was labeled fingering
Mhm.
weight. So I'm like, I didn't even check before I started. And so then I ran into problems. And then that's kind of like, that's the whole trial and error business. So it can be super
I
annoying.
get that. Yeah. Yeah,
So what
absolutely.
about you? Do you
Yes.
have a least favorite part?
That definitely is a part that I'm not a huge fan of, all the frogging that it takes to go into it. But at this point, I've just become so accustomed to that I'm just like, I mean, that's just part of the process. So I've just accepted
Yeah.
it. But I will say, I think actually my least favorite part is like I get decision paralysis really badly
Mm.
sometimes. So sometimes I'm like, if I'm at a crossroads on making a decision for my design, like, okay, do I like this more or this more? I can't tell. I
Mm.
have no idea. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
which one do I like more? Which one will other people like more? Which one is going to be easier? Which one's going to be harder? Which one, like, is this going to
Oh,
be too
yeah.
clunky? I can't tell anymore. I've been staring at this pattern and this design. I'm too close to it. I need a fresh
Yeah.
set of eyes to look at this. So like any
Yes.
kind of decision
Totally agree.
making in the process, like yeah. Now, there are some things where I'm like, okay, well, this is pretty easy for me. Like, I test out, I'm like, oh, I don't really like that. I can tell clearly this isn't going to work. I'm like, those aren't hard. But it's things like, what style of sleeve should I do? Should I do like, well, maybe not style. That's not it. Because I like tapered sleeves. That's pretty much what all of mine are going to be. But it's like, do I do like a waist shaping? How do I
Oh,
waist
yeah.
shape? How much ease do I want to put into this? How much ease do I need to put into like, this part? Is this going to fit somebody who's wearing a 4X or a 5X? Or,
Oh,
and
yeah.
is this going to fit the same way as somebody wearing an extra small? And having to make like those kinds of decisions can get really difficult for me because I'm also like, I
Mhm.
want to make sure that people are going to like my pattern. And so if I feel like any part of it is going to make somebody feel like, oh, I hate this, like that's a lot of pressure. Like I put a lot of pressure on
Yeah,
myself.
yeah.
Like you said, you want you get excited about people liking it. I'm like, I just don't want people to hate my stuff.
I
So
mean, same.
yeah,
If you
that's
remember, I had
yeah.
like, I was totally paralyzed after I finished writing the worsted weight hat. And I was like, I don't know. I don't think it's ready to release. It's like, I'm scared. Like it's my first real release of a pattern. And I mean, you
I
have to
remember
worry
that.
about public feedback. It's like that's your whole brand. And if people don't like it, they're not going to come back and keep buying patterns from you. And we both of us have like a big focus on like customer retention, I guess, or like customer satisfaction. Like we both really want our buyers to take our patterns home and be like, oh, this is such a cool pattern, I love it. And it's not just about making the
Yeah.
sale, it's also about like really providing something and like giving something to the community. And I don't know, it's like it feels really nice to contribute and have people respect that and enjoy it.
Oh, I exactly. Like you hit the nail on the head with that. Like I remember your paralysis. Like you were so afraid. And I was just like, at some
It
point in time, you
was.
just have to publish it. Like you just have to publish your
Yeah.
pattern. And I think once you did that though, you then saw kind of like, okay, it's out there, it's now for the public. And you got so much positive feedback from that that I think that helped you
Yeah.
with more readily being able to publish your other ones that you have. Like the fact that you even went
Yeah, it
back and
did.
redid your, what was it, like your marled ribbed scarf? Like,
Yeah,
was
that
that
scarf
one?
one.
Like that one you
Yeah.
technically already had published. I guess you count that as not your first real pattern.
Girl,
But
no,
you
that
reworked
pattern
it.
needed help. Ugh. That was yeah, that one
But
was
you took the
we don't talk about the
yeah.
original.
I saw the original. It wasn't as bad as you're saying, but I mean, I will
The
say your new
pattern
one
was
is way
wrong.
improved. But
It was wrong.
oh,
Like the original pattern
oh
that I put
right, it
out, like
was.
it was not correct. And so when I was like, so I had an old pattern for a knit scarf that I just like threw up onto Etsy like years ago. But then I didn't really
Mhm.
like do anything fancy with it, and I was like very inexperienced. So after I did my hat, the worsted weight one, I decided to revisit that pattern and kind of like make it better and more professional, like on the same level as the hat one. And when I looked at the Word document, I was like, this pattern is not even accurate. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I wasn't paying attention to detail like I was in the hat pattern. And like both of the hat patterns have gone through like a testing round to, make sure that they work. The scarf I never did a testing round for. And yeah, anyway, it's fixed now. All that to say, I went back and I
Yes.
fixed it.
It's true, and it is definitely better than the original. I will say with that. And
Yes, so much better.
I mean, okay, on that in that same vein, like my very first sweater pattern that I ever did, it is absolutely so different from literally any of the other ones after that because it was me
Yeah.
just figuring out how to write a sweater pattern. And of course, I decided I want to go complicated with it. And I did like, waist shaping and I did a cable pattern in it. And I did like a shawl
Wow.
collar with a decorative button and like all this stuff. I knew nothing about ease. So I can't even wear the sweater anymore. Well, physically,
Oh
it's not with me
man.
anymore. But like, it's also like,
Oh.
I made it to just fit my chest with no ease. And I was like, why is this so tight? like, it does not fit the same way as most sweaters should. And then I was like, oh, that's right. And then I also had like,
Mm.
I wrote out separate instructions for all 9 sizes because
Oh
I was like,
wow.
there's too many in my mind. I was like, I didn't know how to deal with the differences. I was like, I knew about, doing the parentheses with like, different stitch counts and things like that. And you
Yeah.
could do that in one document for different sizes. But the cabling and the cable bordering had to be different because of the width of how it covered the shoulder side. And I didn't know how to write that in the same document for all the different sizes without it being confusing. So I was like, now I would know how. But like at the time, I was like, well, I'm just going to separate them all out. And oh my God, I don't even know how many pages long that is total, but like as a result, it's a free download. I was like, I'm not making anybody pay for this. Like, this is just a free pattern for anybody who wants it. Have fun figuring it out. Hopefully, it comes out right for this size. Definitely size up so that you can get some positive ease. But
Oh yeah.
I think that
Good
that's the thing
tip.
about like, yeah, yeah. Well, with designers, I think in general, like we all have that first pattern, like you with your scarf, me with that sweater. That's like not our best work, but that's okay. It's not meant to be. Your first pattern shouldn't be your best work. It should be much later, after you've learned and improved and everything. So, your hat, like your fingering weight hat, has been better as a result of you having worked on the worsted weight one and having
Yes.
reworked
Yeah.
your scarf. And now the fingering weight one is like it's so good. Like it's such a good pattern.
I love it. And you're right, it's like a stepwise thing. Like you have to start from somewhere and then you'll just learn by doing. I mean, we were just talking about that the other day. Like the more you do of something, the better you'll eventually get because you learn on the way. Versus like trying to put out something that's totally perfect on day one, which is like, of course, we want our patterns to be perfect, but you know, it will
Right.
never have that chance if we don't like try and keep pushing out new ideas, and we'll discover things along the way that maybe we wouldn't have thought of unless we had already done one.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. We could, okay, honestly, I know we could talk about this for hours, but we have hit about our half hour mark and we really are
Yes,
trying to
I
be very
know.
good about sticking to that because we know who we are. So
Well, we
thank
already
you
blew past the
for
half hour
joining
mark
us.
like a
Yeah.
long time ago. So it's been a couple minutes since the half hour mark, but yeah. But yeah, this was really great. I've loved
uh,
chatting with you about pattern design, not just today, but also like, while we're both like in the trenches of our own pattern design. It's been really helpful like talking to you and bouncing ideas back and forth. So yeah, it's been really great. Well, that's episode 2. Thank you guys for watching, and definitely come back and check out
yeah.
episode 3. We've got lots more topics to cover, so we're really excited to keep talking to you guys about all of our fiber arts loves and dislikes and all of that.